Hello everybody, one more time. My name is Alex Centeno, and today we have an exciting tutorial. Today we're going to be taking a look at how to separate Luma and Chroma components in Davinci Resolve. So we're going to do this very fast. If you, for whatever reason, feel like you can't follow along, please feel free to pause the video at times to go back and review the different components so that we can go a little bit faster. I always say the same thing, but I'm going to try this time to do it fast. Okay, so here I am in Davinci Resolve, and what I'm going to do is let's go ahead and start from the beginning. I'm just going to delete this here so that we can start from scratch. So I'm going to drag my clip, then create a timeline, not an empty timeline, and then my clip is in that timeline. Pretty straightforward, but I wanted to start from there. This is footage taken with a GH4 camera in V-Log profile, and so for that, if I click here in the gear, you can see that I'm using a 3D output lookup table from the ARRI Alexa camera, log C to Rec 709. In previous videos, I have actually used a node to have the lookup table applied either at the beginning or at the end, especially with film emulation. This time I'm going to just use it right here from the lookup tables in the color management tab. So this is already in Rec 709. So the process of separating Luma and Chroma would be probably at first would lead you to want to do a parallel node where you have a Luma component and then a Chroma component, and it's not as straightforward as I tried at first. So let's get to it. So what I like to do is first of all control exposure first, then another node, basic color correction here, and then from here split. So let's go ahead and do option P. This would be like so. So basically I'm having the split done at this level after the main color correction. So this is going to be my side of Luma, and this is going to be my side of Chroma. Alright, the Luma is pretty straightforward. All I'm going to do is just come to my color wheels, specifically my primary bars, and I'm going to set my saturation to 0. So I get completely no saturation in my image, just black and white or detail. Of course, there are other ways. By selecting other color spaces, you could grab this from the YUV channel. So the Y channel of the YUV color space. You could do the same with HSL with the last channel, the third channel, the L for lightness. I'm choosing to do it in the RGB just by reducing my saturation here. Just for the sake of completeness, let's go ahead and add another node here for sharpness. So here we could just sharpen the footage in a separate node so we can control the opacity. Alright, and then in the Chroma, I have seen some videos that actually immediately go to making this only about color right here in this node, and unfortunately I haven't had like good success with that, especially because I like to use color space of lab to control the saturation instead of using the saturation dial here. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to create two corrector nodes here. One that I'm going to be using for lab color space A, for channel A, and another one for B, and then I'm going to unite them with a parallel node. So I'm going to delete this here. I'm going to unite it here, add an input, and then have them here. as you know, well, first of all, let me morph this into a layer mixer node and change the composite mode to add. If I was to try to make this directly from a parallel node to the layer mixer node, it wouldn't work, as you can see here. So I'm going to add a last corrector node here, and that would allow me to unite them at the end there with add composite mode. I'm going to call this one Chroma. So this is going to be the actual Chroma node. I could show you what happens if I make this node the actual Chroma node instead of, for some reason I got rid of my label there. I could show you what happens with the A and B channels here. But you're going to have to trust me on that, because we're going to try to do this video in a quick fashion, not taking too long. So this is complete RGB. I'm not even touching this node at all. Maybe I can increase saturation here or color boost. So if I go to number 2 here, I could increase color boost here if I want it, so that it gives me more information for entering into lab color A and B. Other than that, I'm not going to touch that node at all. So in the first node, I am going to change to color space lab, and I'm going to only enable channel 2, which is the A channel. And in the B, I'm going to change to color space lab, and then enable just channel 3. So just reviewing, channel 2, color space lab, and then in this one, color space lab, channel 3 is the one enabled. Channel 2, so basically how this works is that depending on the color space that you select, you always have 3 components. For example, in RGB you have R, G, B, Y, U, V, and so forth. And so each one of these channels are going to represent each one of these letters. So if I'm enabling channel 2 in color space lab, then that is controlling the A channel. And if I am enabling the third channel here in lab, I'm adjusting only the B channel. Also my adjustments here become exactly the same. So R becomes channel 1, G for channel 2, B for channel 3, and so anything that I do in the R channel, for example in curves, would actually affect the first channel and so forth. So since I am in lab color, and this for some reason is getting rid of my little labels, so this is my A channel, and so if I do something here, it's not going to do anything because I am in the third channel, and since I don't even have it enabled, if I move this, as you can see, nothing happens in my image. Alright, so what I'm going to do is enable all of them, or gang them, so that I can just lower them here, and then just correct my green one, so that when I am actually making corrections, I don't mistakenly grab the wrong channels in the background. So green channel I'm just gonna bring up here, making the curve steeper, and that obviously is gonna give me more color. This is just a starting point. I like to do it like from this point to this point, and basically I'm respecting my white balance. I'm gonna do the same with my B channel. Here I'm gonna just change to blue. In fact, let me go ahead and do what I said I was gonna do. Gang them, then lower all of them, and then just correct my blue channel here. Alright, now let's go ahead and correct my chroma here, and the way that I'm gonna do the chroma is changing this to my color space HSL, and then I am going to remove all the luminosity information, which is in my third channel. So I select blue and then remove my lightness information. So if I just solo this channel, you can't probably see this in the video recording, but there's color information in there. And if you actually see, once I combine them with add mode here in the layer mixer node, you can see that I'm getting the detail from the luma here at the top, all the luminosity, and then I'm getting the color from the bottom here. So let's say that I wanted to increase color, the color information that is going into my lab nodes here. So I could technically come to the chroma in the pre-chroma node there, and then color boost here, and you can see that my color increases there. That obviously doesn't give me a lot of control over the cast or the increase of saturation. If I was to want to increase, for example, the saturation of the greens, then I could just go to the A channel, which controls green and red, and so I can modify these points, making the image greener if I move towards the right, making it more reddish, or technically it's not exactly magenta, but it's like a reddish if I do it to the left. Obviously I can also control like the different points in the curve. So I actually get a control of the actual saturation. If I do it in the B channel, I'm going to be controlling blue and yellow. So if I move this to the left, as you can see, I'm going to get more yellow. And if I move it to the right, I'm going to get more of a blue cast. If I make the curve steeper, then the whole separation between yellow and blue in my image is going to become more evident, making it obviously more saturated in that spectrum, yellow-blue. As you can see, the steeper the curve, the more saturated. And so if I flatten the curve, the less saturated my blue and yellow becomes. It's exactly the same with the B channel. The steeper the curve of the second channel, the more saturated I'm gonna get in green red, because the separation between green red increases. So now you can see that this that tends to red is a lot more towards red, and the greenery is definitely greener. So saturation increases as well. So now I can control, obviously, with my Luma channels, I can control just luminosity separate from the color information. Why is this important? I mean, why would you want to go through all this trouble to actually separate Luma from Chroma? Well, specifically with the GH4 vlog footage, is that sometimes you get some artifacts. Some people are calling them macro blocking. Other people are calling them YUV artifacts, and whatever they're called, what happens is that sometimes at the top of the curve, because it's a logarithmic curve, you start getting less bits of information assigned to those luminosity levels, and so some sort of posterization is happening there. And you can correct that posterization, sometimes correcting the chroma channels, and sometimes it actually gets better corrected by using the Luma channel. So by separating them, it allows you to just correct the one that is actually giving trouble, instead of like correcting the whole thing as a massive thing and then not exactly having the right control, especially because if you're shifting some of the colors, for example, if you're selecting the chroma of the image, you can blur it a little bit and still preserve details in the luminosity channel without affecting really like how the image looks. And so ideally you would do it that way, instead of like having to manipulate the whole image as a whole. So anyways, just to finish this up, obviously like here you can end with the different components here towards the end to make your footage finished. For example, with the finishing LUT, a processing lookup table, color emulation for film, for example. You could do the clippings, you could do anything towards the end here that you would do. For example, vignetting is one that is very common here towards the end, and here towards the beginning you probably would be doing denoising if your footage needed that as well. You can even do denoising if you feel like you have it in the Luma channel. Then you can do denoising here since you already have separated the Luma. So by separating Luma, you can just like apply denoising directly to the Luma instead of the Chroma. Or you could even go crazy and do some denoising of the Luma and a separate denoising of the Chroma, which of course probably will give you much better results, especially if you consider that the Chroma is being subsampled 4:0 in the GH4. In other cameras, obviously, you get different subsampling, but in 4:0, then you might want to denoise the Chroma separate from the Luma because you have more Luma information. So anyways, I hope that this has been beneficial. I know that there's quite a bit of information. I wasn't exactly taking too much time in each one of the components, but hopefully you can go back, pause, rewind, and then review what might be helpful to you through this. Again, my name is Alex Centeno. Thank you so much for watching. We appreciate the comments in the YouTube section there. So subscribe, comment, good or bad. We love it. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day. Bye-bye.